Star Trek's movie cast has the right attitude about Star Trek IV. J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movie cast has the right attitude about the long-delayed Star Trek IV. Led by Chris Pine as Captain James T. Kirk and Zachary Quinto as Mr. Spock, J.J. Abrams successfully recast and relaunched the dormant Star Trek franchise in 2009. Set in the alternate Kelvin timeline, the Abrams-directed Star Trek 2009 and Star Trek Into Darkness in 2013, and the Justin Lin-helmed Star Trek Beyond in 2016 elevated Star Trek movies into cinematic summer blockbusters and set stage for the rebirth of Star Trek TV shows for the streaming era on Paramount+. However, it has now been over 8 years since Star Trek Beyond hit theaters, and the fourth J.J. Abrams-produced Star Trek movie has been mired in development hell. Versions of Star Trek IV spearheaded by directors S.J. Clarkson and Matt Shakman went nowhere. Quentin Tarantino walked away from Star Trek IV after envisioning it as an R-rated gangster picture. Paramount Pictures has announced an untitled Star Trek origin prequel movie directed by Toby Haynes, but a reunion of Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto's crew aboard the Starship Enterprise remains elusively in the far-off final frontier. Zachary Quinto and cast are right, Star Trek IV has no age limit. In an interview with Variety about his new NBC series Brilliant Minds, Zachary Quinto said he is open to it and would absolutely love to return in Star Trek IV. Quinto's Star Trek cast originally portrayed the crew of the Starship Enterprise in their energetic 20s. Inevitably, Star Trek IV would present the Enterprise heroes at their current ages, in their 40s or beyond. But Zachary Quinto correctly points out that Star Trek characters' aging has always been part of Star Trek's limitless universe. Check out his quote below. Zachary Quinto, "There's no cutoff. Teach original casted movies for decades, well into their 50s, 60s. The stories might be different. We might not be running as fast on the other planets, but I think anything's possible. And I think there's nothing more fulfilling as an artist than to come back to something after time has passed and cultivate a relationship with it from a completely different perspective and a completely new point of view." Chris Pine echoes Zachary Quinto's feelings about playing their Star Trek characters as older and more experienced. Pine is in his early 40s, and he would similarly portray Captain Kirk warping toward middle age in Star Trek IV. Pine told the audience at Ace Superhero Comic-Con 2024 that he would be curious about playing an older Kirk and what that story would be. Read Pine's quote below. Chris Pine: "In terms of the next phase of Star Trek, obviously you're all fans, so I'm sure you've read it. We all like one another a lot. I'm good friends with everybody I've worked with. We have a great time doing it. I'm a lot older now, so I would be curious where that next story lands us in terms of what it would be and what we've said in the press." As Zachary Quinto pointed out, Star Trek, the original series cast played their characters in several films into their 50s and 60s. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan saw Admiral Kirk, William Shatner, mark his 50th birthday, but advancing age didn't hinder the heroism of the original Starship Enterprise crew. Seeing J.J. Abrams cast as older could easily be woven into Star Trek IV and become one of its most interesting aspects. The last report about Star Trek IV was earlier in 2024, indicating that screenwriter Steve Yockey, the flight attendant, was hired to pen the film. Star Trek IV was also billed as the final chapter of J.J. Abrams' Starship Enterprise cast. However, there have been no further updates on the state of Star Trek IV. This is especially unfortunate because Star Trek's 60th anniversary is in 2026, and the return of Chris Pine's Captain Kirk and his Enterprise crew in a new movie would have been an ideal way to mark 60 years of Star Trek. The cast of the rebooted Star Trek movies, led by Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and Zoe Saldana, has shown remarkable enthusiasm and patience when it comes to the much-anticipated Star Trek IV. Though the film has been in development limbo for several years, their consistent positivity and grounded perspective on the franchise demonstrates why they are the right team to carry the torch for future Star Trek films. Since the release of Star Trek Beyond in 2016, the road to a fourth film has been fraught with delays and false starts. Initially, there were high hopes for a follow-up, but changes in the studio's leadership, script issues, and scheduling conflicts created obstacles. Despite these challenges, the cast has maintained a remarkably hopeful and open attitude about reprising their iconic roles. Chris Pine, who plays Captain James T. Kirk, has been particularly vocal about the delays, but remains optimistic. In interviews, he has expressed both a deep connection to the role and a sense of realism about the film industry. Pine's take on Star Trek IV reflects a pragmatic understanding of Hollywood's complexities, stating that while he would love to return, he doesn't hold his breath. This grounded approach is refreshing in an industry where many actors tend to project either impatience or ambivalence when projects stall. Pine's openness to returning, but also his recognition of the industry's uncertainties, show a mature perspective, one that fans appreciate because it mirrors the resilience of the Star Trek ethos itself. Keep exploring, even when the destination is unclear. Zachary Quinto, who has brilliantly portrayed Spock since the 2009 reboot, has also expressed his desire to return, but like Pine, his attitude has been patient and positive. He has said that while the cast is incredibly proud of the legacy they've created, they also understand the importance of timing and that they want to get it right rather than rush it. Quinto's comments reflect a respect for the Star Trek brand and its history, acknowledging that the stories need to be told with care and purpose. For Quinto, the franchise represents more than just a job. It's a cultural institution that needs to be treated with reverence. The rest of the cast, including Zoe Saldana, Uhura, Simon Pegg, Scotty, and Carl Urban, Dar McCoy, have expressed similar sentiments. Saldana, for instance, has noted that the delay has been frustrating, but that the cast shares a strong bond and would reunite in a heartbeat if given the opportunity. This collective attitude shows a team that is not just doing their jobs, but has developed a deep personal connection to the world of Star Trek and its legacy. They are committed to honoring the vision of the original series, even if it means waiting longer to bring the next chapter to life. The cast's perspective is particularly resonant given the legacy of Star Trek itself. The franchise has always been about more than just space battles and futuristic technology. At its core, Star Trek is about humanity, hope, and resilience in the face of adversity. These themes are reflected not only in the stories told on screen, but in the cast's attitude towards their roles in the larger Star Trek universe. They are not merely actors waiting for the next paycheck, they are caretakers of a beloved cultural artifact, and they seem to understand this responsibility. This attitude also aligns with the franchise's enduring message of optimism. Despite the setbacks, the cast's willingness to return for Star Trek IV whenever it happens mirrors the optimism that defines Star Trek. The characters they portray are explorers of the unknown, navigating challenges with hope and determination. Similarly, the actors are navigating the unknowns of Hollywood, balancing the desire to move forward with the understanding that some things are out of their control. The actors' approach is also a testament to their professionalism. In an era where blockbuster franchises are often churned out quickly to capitalize on their popularity, the cast of Star Trek seems more focused on quality than quantity. They understand that rushing a sequel could do more harm than good, potentially diminishing the legacy they've helped build since 2009. By maintaining this perspective, they show a level of dedication that is rare in modern franchise filmmaking. Moreover, their attitude sets the stage for the possibility of not just another film, but one that can truly resonate with both longtime fans and newer audiences. Their patience suggests they are waiting for the right script and the right moment, which bodes well for the future of the franchise. Rather than pushing for a film that might not live up to expectations, they are allowing the process to unfold naturally, ensuring that when Star Trek IV does arrive, it will be worth the wait. In conclusion, the cast of the Star Trek reboot films has the right attitude when it comes to the long-delayed Star Trek IV. Their patience, optimism, and respect for the franchise reflect the core values of Star Trek itself. They aren't just waiting for a green light,